Alrighty, so hey guys, my name is Mike Tarallo. I'm a Principal Technical Marketing Manager with Qlik, and I'd like to welcome you to the Do More with Qlik webinar series. Today, we're going to cover part 2 of our latest managed reporting and centralized distribution solution available with Qlik Cloud Analytics, and that is tabular reporting. And we're picking up where we left off in January, where I introduced tabular reporting. But this time we're showing how NPrinting customers or users can leverage this awesome capability. Today, I have two special guests with me, Johnny Poole, Principal Platform Architect, and Andrew Kruger, our Product Manager for reporting and many other Qlik features that you all know and love. This session will shift focus to available migration paths for NPrinting users, exploring available methods and approaches. And many of you may already know Andrew and Johnny and are aware of their contributions, and I'm excited to have them with me today. So if you guys would like to say a quick hello and provide a little information about yourself.
Yeah, so thanks, Michael. And just going back to, we're episode 51 here, the work you do in connecting our customers with these types of conversations is fantastic. So very appreciated.
So appreciate that. Thank you.
So yeah, hello, Andrew Kruger, Product Manager, as we've already gathered up in Ottawa, Canada, today coming from our Philly headquarters, and love to connect over Qlik community as well. So do keep an eye on the Qlik reporting service area of the Qlik community. Certainly after this call, you'll see lots of great posts, and I am always fortunate to work with my colleague Johnny, who will be driving today on some of the demo capabilities as well. So Johnny, maybe you want to say hello.
Hey everyone, Johnny Poole. I've been with Qlik about 13 years, and I'm a platform architect. I work in Qlik's pre-sales division, so I'm a technical resource and someone who spent a lot of time working with NPrinting and now with Qlik Cloud Tabular Reporting. So very happy to show you how this works together. I'm looking forward to showing you all those details.
Perfect. All right, guys, a couple more slides before we get on to the main event. On the last Do More, I had my colleagues join me, Rocco Pecora, who is our Senior Manager of Offerings Management, and Wadi Lamoni, who is our Qlik web developer on our demo team. And they both took us through technical deep dive behind a QlikSense application we call the customer churn application. And that incorporated AutoML, application automation, generative AI, and predictive analytics capabilities. Basically, they walked us through the back-end process, unraveling the behind-the-scenes magic of how it works. And that being said, if you missed that one or any previous Do More with Qlik sessions, you can always check them out in the Do More with Qlik library, which includes 50 and counting previous sessions. And this is available as a link that is sent to you via email after the session. And you'll have the most recent sessions also available in our YouTube channel playlist that is also available. So please make sure to check out those resources in case you missed something. And then finally, I do want to mention the next Do More with Qlik. And this is one of those recap sessions. I do one of these every year. I've been doing them since I think we started this back in 2021, 2022, perhaps. And this is going to recap many of the great features that have been released and the capabilities that are available in Qlik Cloud Analytics and what makes it the next generation analytics platform. And I'm also going to show you some brief examples of getting started with Qlik Cloud Analytics. So this is going to be whether you're new, a trial, you want a refresher, a beginner, it's a great way to get the most out of Qlik Cloud. So stay tuned to our social channels and webpage for registration information on that. And then don't forget about the Qlik YouTube channel. There is a variety of succinct content about everything Qlik. In particular, a couple of series that I manage. You might be interested in the Do More with Qlik Tips and Tricks Edition playlist, as well as the short series that are available. So it's a great way to stay in the know on what's happening in the Qlik products. So that being said, on to our main event. Either Andrew or Johnny, whoever wants to kick it off, and we'll take it from there.
I'll quickly I'll key off on a question and repeat one of your housekeeping items. So let's use the Q&A panel for questions. There was a question that came in over the chat is just feedback for Michael, Johnny, and I. But there was a question that I'll just sort of key into. What we're looking at today is, quite often on-prem customers are asking about their Qlik NPrinting estate and sort of that journey to Qlik Cloud. And what we're going to be looking at today, and Johnny's going to walk us through in just a short moment, is just around how for those tabular reporting use cases where we are very prevalent with our Qlik NPrinting customers, how you can start to look at moving those to Qlik Cloud. So that is the scope of today's capability. We are looking at Qlik Cloud capabilities in this session today. So I was just answering one of those questions. Johnny, let's get rolling.
Okay, great. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Just make sure we get the transition done correctly.
You're good.
All good?
Yep.
All right, that's great. Okay, so today's going to be primarily about tabular reporting. This is a newer offering that was covered in the January session, as Mike previously mentioned. The offering is quite new. It was only released in December. And since then, we've had three very nice improvements that have already been made to it. The last one was made just 2 days ago, as Andrew will attest, that you can now prepare tabular reports from a managed space. Previously, that was not possible, but it is possible now as of 2 days. So this is an active area of excitement and development for Qlik as customers adopt our Qlik Cloud platform. Tabular reporting is now the premier offering for reporting in the cloud. So previously, we had the option of being able to generate reports, specifically PDF files and PowerPoint files, through the use of Qlik App Automation, which is a general app automation utility that's present in Qlik Cloud. But now we have a dedicated report offering. The reason why it's a dedicated report offering is because it has a full plugin that's distinct from the Qlik Sense sheet experience. And it's based in Excel that allows you to develop specifically develop reports. The Office plugin is a 365 plugin. So you have two options. You can install it on a single machine, or you can do a corporate deploy and push it out to all users in a certain group, for example. So it has a dedicated Excel authoring experience, and then it also includes report tasks, which is the ability to distribute in a dedicated way explicitly for reporting. So that includes defining recipients and groups. It means adding filters, either for the whole task or just for individual recipients, and then scheduling options. And of course, this is all wrapped by an API so that you can automate and integrate into your environment however you wish. So because it has these three key elements, that's why we're calling it, a full-fledged reporting offering now in the Qlik Cloud. Today's session is going to be focused on NPrinting customers who are coming to look at tabular reporting and adopt tabular reporting. I'm going to show how you can take an NPrinting report and move it or migrate it to a tabular report. And at that point, once you move the report, how you can develop a task and distribute it to users. So this is essentially a migration exercise. I'll pick up best practices along the way and show you how you want to do this, some shortcuts, and then provide towards the end of the session the utility that you could use with Qlik in order to assess your environment for the suitability and feasibility of moving your NPrinting environment to Qlik Cloud should you wish to. Okay, so we start our journey as usual in a Qlik Sense app. So this is a Qlik Sense Windows environment where I've already published an app called Executive Reports. This is an app that users might be using as a regular dashboard, but it just so happens to also be a source for an NPrinting report. And it's a tabular style report. It's a sales order report. So what it's going to do is going to grab information from this sheet, which has a list of all my orders and customers and sales and so forth. So this has already been set up in my Windows environment. And likewise, I also already have an NPrinting report that connects to that same Qlik Sense app. This is an Excel template, as you can see in the middle of the screen. It's grayed out, but this was built with NPrinting Designer using Excel, and here's the report right here. So as you can see, it's a basic tabular style report. It does have some bells and whistles in it. For example, I put a formula in at the top to show the current month. And then I'm also leveling on the month so that I'll give a unique block for every month of the year going down. And I'm also paginating using the page feature in NPrinting so that this information is sliced by the year across different sheets in Excel. So this is quite common. We find users may be demanding this report through an on-demand, or they may be doing it in NPrinting using a publish task feature, perhaps batch producing many such spreadsheets to a folder or sending them out over email. However you wish to use it in NPrinting, what we're going to do today is take this and migrate it to tabular reports. At the same time, this report in NPrinting does have filters applied to it. In all, there's 3 filters. The way my NPrinting environment has been set up is that I had actually imported these filters from an Excel import task. So that was defined from the disk. I had created an NPrinting recipients file, which you may be familiar with, which has all my filters defined. It has my user defined as well, and it had the groups defined in that as well. So this sort of, the reason I'm doing this is that I'm trying to portray a full-fledged NPrinting environment that has filters, it has reports, and it also has tasks. So this report is also being published out through a publish task. The same report is the same orders report, and I have it distributed through a group so that anybody who's a member of this group is getting this report today, and then I'll have various destinations applied. So today I'm going to show you how I can move the report, and then how I would adapt to move in the task information as well as I move to Qlik Cloud. Okay, now the first thing you're going to need, so if you've got a notebook or you're taking notes in Notepad on your computer, if you want to do this, follow along with what I'm doing, first thing you're going to do is come to the admin screen and hit the Export Qlik Cloud Reports. The reason why I say grab a notebook is that this feature is available now in NPrinting February 2024. So you won't find it in a previous version. You'll have to upgrade to NPrinting February 2024. But once you do that, this option will just come up as an option in your menu. You click it. I'm going to select my NPrinting community app that I developed for this. The only connection in this app is the connection that points to my QlikSense application, and then I need to also enter the same app that exists in my Qlik Cloud environment. So lucky for me, I went ahead and did this already. I've come into my Qlik Cloud tenant, and the same application, the executive reports application that exists in my Windows environment, has already been imported into my Qlik Cloud environment. So if I were to click in here and open up the application that's published in Qlik Cloud, I can see the same sheets and same information have already been moved. Now, what you may notice at the top here is that I have my URL. This is the one that NPrinting wants. It not only wants to know what tenant it is, but also which app ID. So that's all present in the URL, so I'm going to use that for now to do this. And then I come back to my NPrinting environment and I paste it in, and lo and behold, the download button becomes available. Now, importantly, you may have noticed that the app ID obviously is probably going to change, even though this is an export and import. My NPrinting environment was using a QlikSense app with a different ID, and my Qlik Cloud one has the app IDs changed obviously because I moved between environments, but that's okay because as you may already know from NPrinting, as you move NPrinting reports between different NPrinting environments, the app ID doesn't matter. What really matters is all the individual elements inside the app, which we call the objects and the object IDs. Those don't actually change. So this kind of procedure that I'm showing you won't be too dissimilar from what some of our NPrinting customers do today as they migrate reports between multiple environments. So that being said, I'm going to hit the download button. This is going to come down to my my download folder, and I click in here, and I see that here's my orders report. So this orders report, I'm going to open this back up now in Excel, and I'm not in the NPrinting Designer. I just opened that extracted template now into Microsoft Excel, and now I'm going to log into my my showcase, my tenant. So the plugin's already locked and loaded. I've already pre-configured that. A little migration in progress has happened, and it's found the source application. So that same URL I just put in is now reconnecting to my Qlik Cloud environment, and here's my report. Now, the filters haven't been moved over. It's just gone ahead and moved the template content. It hasn't done anything with filters so far. So just think of this as moving the design elements of the report. And as I click through the tabs up here, you'll notice, very similar to how things worked in NPrinting Designer. You can add table objects. You could add chart or image objects. There's the ability to add variables and formulas. You'll notice that the formula did get carried over down here. Likewise, my table's also been carried over. And my level and page has also been moved over. So if I were to go ahead and kick this off and spend a few seconds to let this unfiltered report go ahead and run, it's working. It's actually actively working. It's waiting for this to finish. And once it does, it'll just pop up with the downloaded results.
Hey, Johnny, just as we're that thing's working away, I got a question in. They wanted confirmation. Someone wanted confirmation around the object IDs being the same as you move to cloud, which I think is what you're.
They do.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's correct. They do stay the same. So even if you weren't using NPrinting, you may have noticed that you can export an app from Qlik Sense and move it to Qlik Cloud. It works the same. They are, in fact, the same Qlik Sense application. When you migrate that Qlik Sense app, obviously you would have to change the load script so that it's referencing your new cloud data sources and cloud data connections. So that part of it changes, but the rest of the app does not. So the object IDs that are inside your Qlik Sense app remain constant. It's the same as if you moved an app from one Qlik Sense environment on Windows, say from a development Windows environment to a production Windows environment. The app ID changes, but the objects do not. So as long as you have officially switched which app ID you're using, which we did in the export step, everything else should fall into place. And this is the proof in the pudding here. I've run the report and did all these metadata tags find their objects. And as I open it up, I can see, it did. It's loading all the same data, January, February, March, and all the years along the bottom here. So that did work. Things are looking good. One thing you're going to really like about the new Tabular Reports feature is that if you happen, like me, to have the application already open, there's a lovely shortcut here where I can filter in a live session. In the browser, I'm going to just come down straight to March. And if you recall, I had a filter in NPrinting that was looking at the beer sub-product category. I'm going to just select that same product group so that I'm really focused my data here. And then if I come back now to that same orders report and preview it in Excel again, this should actually, the filter is going to be shared because this is sharing the same user session state in Qlik Cloud, and it transfers to my same authenticated connection through the plugin. So here I get my filtered report. So best practice number one, which is what I always used to tell NPrinting customers, is to make sure you have a filter applied on the report so you don't inadvertently try to export 5 million rows to Excel on your first run. Same here, but it's much easier. You don't have to click through a different screen to create filters like you do in NPrinting. It's almost like how it works in On Demand. You just open up a screen and make your selections against the same app using your same user ID, obviously. And when you come back into Excel and you go to hit the preview, it'll do the same thing. It'll just work and apply those same filters because they're on the server side. It's not a local thing that you need to configure. So same data coming out in PDF versus Excel, that's all going to come through for you. Okay, so I could continue to enhance this if I want. In fact, I think I will. I'm going to go just add a couple more lines just to show a bit more proofing for people who are really trying to evaluate this offering. I'm going to go add in yet another level. I'm going to go ahead and pick the product subgroup. And in this case, it's the subgroup description that I'm after. So I'll add the field value as well as the level. This is just like NPrinting, and you can see how they all came in here. I've got my closing tag, which I'm going to move down the line here, and I've got my opening tag. And I think what I'll do is I'll just add one more line so it's spaced out neatly. And that should be enough. So if I come back now to my live session, I don't want to focus on one subgroup category now, because I'm leveling on that same field. If I come back here and preview this as a spreadsheet, it'll still filter using 2024. It will still filter using March, but this time it should split it out across the different product subcategories as well, giving me a bit more data to look at. So this comes up now, and I open the spreadsheet. The same, that same NPrinting report that I just had moved over is, it's the starting point is not lost. You can right away further develop the report after you've migrated it. It's a bona fide tabular report. It's ready to go. It's ready to be augmented. You could change things however you wish, and you have virtually all the same features that you had in NPrinting available to you here. And just like NPrinting, you have all the Excel features available to you here. So you could put in Excel functions, and you can define print areas, and you can change this to be, landscape versus portrait. This is all the bread and butter features that helps make NPrinting a worthwhile product. And that now, by offering this offering in tabular reports in Excel, we carry forward a vast amount of authoring power to Qlik Cloud. And that's why I was saying at the beginning that this now really becomes the premier reporting offering in Qlik Cloud. Okay, so I showed you the preview. I do want to show you quickly, I'll get to it, the filters a bit more. But for now, I kind of like the report the way it is. I'm just going to go hit Save As. I'll put this in my Downloads folder. I'm going to say this is a copy of the orders report. I'll call it the copy, and it's sort of the Qlik Cloud ready copy. And now that's saved. Okay, so now the next part, I've done the design work. I've moved over the template. It's ready to go. The next part is to get the task and recipient information in order. So for that, I'm going to come back out to the Qlik app, the Qlik application, and as I go to define tasks, there's no other product that I have to go to. There's no NPrinting that's running in the cloud. We've addressed one of the major complaints about NPrinting, which was that it's a whole separate product and it's more to learn, and you have to click back and forth to set things up. The experience is now that the NPrinting application is now basically, it's become one with the Qlik Sense application. So as we go into this application, which is my data source for the reports, there's now a reporting option. And the reporting option is not where you're designing the reports. We've already done that. That was designed in the plugin. But this is where I'm going to be doing all the task information. So I'll leave this. This is a task that I've already created. I'll just leave it in there for now. But this is, you think about the repository of information NPrinting had. It had the filters, it had the recipients, it had the groups, it had all kinds of other things. Same here. So we've got our filters listed here in the report in the Qlik app. I've already defined a filter. The filters, I do want to show this because they are quite powerful. When you add filters, you have the option of creating value filters, expression-based filters that evaluate, or search-based filters. You can also use an alternate state. You can use the select excluded option, and you can use the override option. So this is the more NPrinting-like powerful way of doing filters. So there is a strong capability here for applying filters. I won't finish it because I've already created one. You'll notice the one I created does match what I was doing with NPrinting and with a plugin earlier. There's a subgroup filter on beer. There's a order date month filter on March, and year is 2024. So I do have that already brought over for me. The migration of the report, it didn't move any recipients over. So just bear that in mind, and I will restart this from scratch so that we can go through this whole element. And then also there won't be a sort of any groups or templates also in this application either. So no recipients, there's no groups, but what I can do is now take the report that I've already created and upload it. So that's really the first thing. So once I finished my work in the Excel plugin, I have the copy of the orders report that's prepared. Once I want to create a task, the first thing I'm going to do is upload that template. So I'll go back down and browse the place where I left it, which is just in my downloads folder. And then my little button's hidden at the bottom, so I'll just try to pull that up. There it is. Okay, so the copy of the orders report is now up into my in-app reporting repository. Next are recipients. Okay, now recipients are something exciting going on, something that I'm excited about. So when I want to go update my recipients, I have two options. One is that there's sort of a simple way of doing this, which may or may not match how you're doing it with NPrinting, which is to upload a spreadsheet. Okay, so in NPrinting there was, as I mentioned earlier, a way of importing users and groups and filters for that matter through an Excel spreadsheet. Same here. Yeah, we also have an Excel spreadsheet in a simplified way to import a lot of the same information. But the other way that can be done is that you can just load your recipients and groups from a data source, because rather than upload to a new repository, this is what we call an in-app repository. So the way we've done it is that the recipients and groups are really just fields in your data model now. So I'll show you that. I'll come back to that point in a second. But for now, what I'm going to just do is upload my recipients that I want in this application. The tabular report recipient file looks like this. It's not complicated. So in this case, I'm going to be uploading one recipient, Jonathan Poole 1. This is a little tip, but for my testing purposes, I like to use this quirk of email addresses where you do a +1 or a +2, and it creates a unique identifier for the email. And then you don't have to email your friends and spam them while you're developing. You can just, email various versions of yourself. So I add the +1 in order to do testing. I do want my user to be filtered using an existing filter. So I do put that reference in here, and I do want to distribute to a group, not just individual recipients, because I find that onerous. I just want to set the group, and then I'll just manage who's a member of that group, through a regular workings, and that way I don't have to keep track of individual recipients. The groups are stored here. It's just a name and a description. So this name obviously is going to want to match this, and that's it. And by the way, the filters is going to match what you have up in your application. So here I do have a filter called current space month space beer. So when I import this for my tabular reports, I do use the same name. Okay, so literally just a copy and paste, and that's how that works. By the way, if you did use this kind of approach in NPrinting, I'll just contrast that. The NPrinting recipient file was quite a deal more exhaustive. So you still had your email and name in there. They called it username, but it's the same thing. There was also a bunch of other things around time zones and locales. Remember, all of that's already handled in the Qlik Cloud environment because this is integrated. we're not trying to replicate personas in NPrinting anymore, because we're using the same foundational services that already are set up in Qlik Cloud. We can use the same authorization schemes that are already set up in Qlik Cloud. So there's really a minimal amount of information we need about recipients. It's basically just email and a name at this point. But there are still groups, so groups were set up very similar. And really the major difference in terms of how you manage and deploy and operate tabular reporting is around the filters. So you could import filters through the spreadsheet with NPrinting. With Qlik Cloud, it will be a bit different, and I'll get into that in a moment. Okay, so that's done. So here's my recipients. I'm just going to close that. So I'm free to come into and upload that. So I hit the new version. This is going to come from the hard drive. So that user import file that I just showed you is this one. So I'm going to hit that, open it up, and Tabular Reports is going to, basically what it's doing is it's uploading that whole spreadsheet and it's putting it in the cloud. And then it's refitting my load script. And it's going to load that same spreadsheet into the same app. And you'll see how that works in a moment. And then it's reloading the app. So the act of putting the user and recipient information into the data model and reloading the application basically allows my recipients now to show up. My groups are also showing up. And in this case, the filter association current month year is there. And just to double check the spelling is all right, that's come through as well. So notice now, I do have a recipient, I do have a group, and my template is intact. Everything's ready to go. The next thing I need to do would be to create a report task. Okay, so let's do that. That's my next step, create report task. I'm going to call this the webinar live version. For the report that I wish to distribute, I've already uploaded it, so I'm just going to hit this existing template. There it is right there. This part is done. I can hit the next tab. Outputs, I'm just going to call this the webinar live report. So when this goes out to a hard drive or email attachment, it's going to be called that. It'll be fitted with a suffix, which is going to be the timestamp. You can see a preview of what that file name will look like if it was to be sent, this moment. Filter down here, this is the equivalent of a task filter. So if I wanted, every recipient to be filtered the same way, I could just pick one filter and filter the entire task. But in my case, I showed you that I had a recipient filter. So there's no need to add a task filter because I'm filtering this at the recipient level already. In NPrinting, that was a user filter. In Qlik Cloud, in Tabular Reports, it's a recipient filter. So I'll skip the filter option here because I don't need that for the whole task. Now onto the distribute. I am a fan of distributing to groups, so I'm going to pick the group here. You'll also see I have the option of picking the individual recipient as well. Just going to use the group. Again, I'm using what's in the in-app repository that was already shown. Email I'm not going to be doing. Instead, I decided I'm going to be doing a SharePoint connection. The folder path, I do have that at the ready here for myself. This is my SharePoint site. What it just needs is the pathway using my existing SharePoint connection. And I think, it's giving me the next button, so I'm going to hit the next. I love this next aspect of Tabular Reports. Obviously, we've got schedules, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Those are, just like NPrinting, those are available here. The one that everyone used to ask for is like, well, really what I want is not a schedule. I want this report to be sent out on a trigger. So whenever the app is reloaded, I want the reports automatically sent. So that's what I'm going to pick here. It's going to be when the data is refreshed, which is basically when the app is reloaded. So I hit the save, and now I get a second task that's available to me. The task has not been sent yet. It's scheduled to be on reload, as I explained. there's only just one recipient, which is the group. And I'll just hit the send now, and this is going to kick off the report. Now, should be the filtered version of the report, remember? So it shouldn't take too long. I think we're running somewhere between a few seconds versus 10 seconds. So that's already ready. I go out to my SharePoint site. Here's my webinar live app. It's suffixed it with the filter as well as the timestamp. This was just a few seconds ago. If I click on that and take a look at what's going on, I should see, just that small amount of information, because again, it's filtered for beer, filtered for March, filtered for beer, and it's 2024. So that worked. Yay, that worked live. Everyone's happy. So that's the extent of how the tasks work. So now the application in my mind is pretty much fully deployed. So the rest of how things get organized is that you could add literally as many recipients as you want, as many groups as you wish. You can add filters. The quirk here is that you have to go hit add filter through the user interface today. It is possible to populate these filters through API. So if you had to populate a lot of filters, that would be a good way to do it. Or if it's just a few filters, I do suggest just hitting the add filter and going through it one by one. And that's how it works with it. Okay, and the other thing I just wanted to show quickly is that if we take a look at how this recipients actually work, notice at the bottom it added a distribution list. So what this is doing is it's pulling that tabular report recipient spreadsheet in. It's pulling it into the load. It's adding the groups as well. And most importantly, the reason why the Qlik app knows that these data fields are special in that they're recipients and groups is this tagging. So here I've tagged a field, the recipient name is this field and the recipient email is this field. So these are special tags, documented tags. There's 6 of them in all. And you just really need the recipient name and email. You don't even have to use filters and groups. So really there's just 2 that are mandatory and the rest are optional. The tagging of the field is key. Again, the tagging, whatever's tagged here is what's going to show up here. So recipients, groups, that's how it comes over. You don't have to use the spreadsheet to upload it. You could use any data source that you wish. Just to sort of jump ahead through some of these slides, one way I like to do it is I just like to use a super basic inline load. So in this case, what I've done is I've loaded my recipient email, and if I need to, my filter group and group description. Remember, those 3 are optional. And I've loaded in my 4 recipients, and I just tag them, and that's all I need. And then I can copy and paste this around. So I can use an inline load for quick testing, or I can use, for example, a database that has this information. As long as you tag the fields, it's fine. Remember here, I'm tagging the field recipient. These fields you can name whatever you want. You just have to put it in the tag field, and it'll believe you when you say it's a recipient. The other common thing that people like to do in Qlik Cloud that I used to get pinged about was that they say, well, really what I want is all my Qlik Sense users to be in NPrinting. I want to just sync them all. And I had this method, this convoluted method to do that. Without getting into details, you can do the same thing here as well. There's a sample that is in one of the community posts where you can interrogate your Qlik's Cloud tenant, grab all the users that are in there. Remember, email address and name are mandatory when you create users in the cloud, and they can be tagged and brought directly into an app. So you can integrate. I use a REST endpoint for that. It's not as complicated as it was in NPrinting. And that's how I can pull all the users or a subset of my users that are already in my Qlik Cloud environment and bring them into a report. The reason why that's important is because Tabular Reports does support section access. So when you're developing recipients, for Qlik Cloud, just remember that recipients can be internal or external. So I could put any email address if I wish, but if it happens to be an internal email address, it will understand that if you have section access present, to run it under the correct secure persona. Okay, so section access is supported, and that might be a reason why you try to pull in all your users from your tenant into a recipient list, or at least a subset. The other quirks here that are and things I like is that the tagging is, as a feature, it allows tags persist. So if I take this recipient and store it as a QVD file, you could think of that as a recipient file, because if you pull that QVD into any other application, it's pre-tagged, it's ready to go. You don't even have to put the tag fields again because the QVD stores the tagging information. So it's actually nice to use the QVD approach to manage your recipient list and to create master lists and to reuse them over and over again. So that is an attractive option. Storing recipients as QVDs, no problem there. The very fact that these fields are in the data model, I like to use the hide prefix. So I use the %sign. I can hide the prefix so no consumer of this application will be able to see those fields. They're hidden. So that's why I prefix them with a % because I use the hide field approach. Okay, what else? I think I did get through most of the details here, and I did want to spend just a little bit of time talking about how to prepare for a migration. So I've given you all the details, probably a lot more details than you might have expected, or maybe not, but in the last part of my presentation that I wanted to show you was how to get started with your migration. And
Johnny,
think of it.
Hey, Johnny, it's Mike.
Yep.
I just want to interrupt you real quick before you start this next part of the presentation to address a number of questions coming in. I would suggest that for those who have not seen part 1 of the Do More with Qlik session, you will have the link to the archive, and I will also post it in the chat for you to review. I do cover a lot of the setup procedure for the plugin, the tasks, the filters, the lists, a lot of the stuff that Johnny's kind of breezing through quickly because this is part 2. So I would suggest you look at that. The other thing to know about that presentation, I don't just cover tabular reporting. I talk about the other approaches to report distribution and formatting that we have available out of the box with both Qlik Sense Enterprise and Qlik Cloud. So when I kick off that presentation, I talk about the ability to do subscription, for example, subscribing to Sheets. I talk about the ability of using our data storytelling to create presentations or PowerPoints or outputs to PDF that you could subscribe to, for example. I also talk about our application automation, where we can use our report services blocks to actually generate reports and write them to directories. There was a question about writing to, for example, a Google Drive or a Dropbox. We have other approaches, right? The tabular reporting that Johnny's showing in regards to also NPrinting is the migration path and the coexistence of how that works. But do understand we have other pieces within our platform that can also provide other types of solutions. So please look at part 1 of that presentation as well. Okay, Johnny.
So I want to, there's a lot of great questions that have come in here as we've been going through. So Johnny, can you sort of go with 5 minutes and then we can use the last little bit to do some, or I can respond to a bunch of these questions.
Yeah. I'll just take a minute.
Sure.
So real quick, in order to prepare for a journey, like say you're on NPrinting today, you might be using it against QlikView or Qlik Sense. Tabular Reports is only using Qlik Sense apps. So as you migrate, step 1 that you really have to get out of the way is to make sure that your reports are based off Qlik Sense apps. That being said, once you're on using NPrinting with Qlik Sense, there is sort of an assessment you can do, and this tool I'm going to show you now think of it as a rapid assessment tool. You could do it in concert with your Qlik sales rep, or you could do it with your Qlik certified partner. This is not a public utility, but it is available through partners and through Qlik employees. that you work with, regularly. So if you want to know more about this, contact your sales rep, contact your Qlik partner, and this can be done. But basically, what this application does is it connects. It's a QlikSense application. It connects to your NPrinting repository, and it reads in all the information about how you're using NPrinting today. It also demands that you turn on the NPrinting audit trail feature so that you can create an audit log of all the activities that are going on in your NPrinting environment. I suggest a minimum of 1 week. Ideally, it's 4 weeks that you let the audit trail run, so we can get basically a month-long estimate of how much activity is in your NPrinting environment. The output of such an activity allows us to give a rapid assessment of how viable a migration to Qlik Cloud is. What are the number of options that need to be thought through or addressed, and what looks to be very easy to move through. So, for example, in this environment, this is my own environment. My NPrinting SaaS readiness application has picked up that 17 of 24 reports are available to be directly migrated, and more than half of my published SaaS are ready to be directly migrated. If I wanted to have a quick view of what aspects of my NPrinting environment may not be basically copied into my tabular report environment, those features can be either resolutioned or addressed through the roadmap. But here is at the bottom, you see sort of flags. So in Qlik Cloud, you can create PDFs, you can create PowerPoint, so those are on green. CSVs are not directly portable, that's flagged as purple, but maybe you want to do an Excel instead. Also, when you look at how you're doing NPrinting, there's newsstand, there's folders, there's on demand. This is the green is showing you what's directly capable in the cloud versus not. So this is sort of your sort of snapshot of which areas of NPrinting that you're using today that don't have a direct translation, but which may have an alternative solution. So it's just flagging that as a high level, and then the application will also give you more detail, report by report. Which report, what's the report recommendation? Is it to migrate to tabular reports? Is it to try to do the report through QAA because it's done in PowerPoint? Or is it using some aspect that doesn't have a direct translation, but on further analysis, what's better? Is there a path of least resistance, which is also reported here? So in this case, tabular reports, because there's fewer review items when you compare to tabular versus QAA. Lots of detail in here. It does tasks and so forth. It'll also give you a sizing estimate based on your monthly activity, estimated number of monthly reports that you're running. It could be 1,000, it could be 10,000. It will give you an estimate. And again, call to action. If you would like to do an assessment because you're interested in cloud, please contact your sales rep or your Qlik partner to gain access to this utility to run a rapid assessment. Okay, that's it from me.
Awesome.
We can jump to questions.
Other than that, guys, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining. You will get all of this information in your emails and your follow-ups, and you can reach out to me anytime on the community or on YouTube. And I look forward to seeing you on the next Do More with Qlik, which is going to be scheduled for April 24th. You can stay tuned to the Do More with Qlik registration page once that registration link becomes available, as well as our social channels to learn more. Have a great rest of your week. I appreciate your time, and stay well, everyone, and I'll see you next time on Do More with Qlik. Take care, everyone. Johnny and Andrew, thanks again.
Awesome, Mike. Thank you.
Bye-bye.